So a couple days ago, a few reports came out saying that Nintendo may have shown developers a sneak peek at their next generation system, or the Nintendo Switch 2, behind closed doors at Gamescom, showing like demos with how capable the system is going to be and what they're going to be able to do on it, and giving developers kind of just a preview of the system. Now, I already did make videos covering that information, so if you haven't seen that, there should be a little eye up in the corner right now. You can definitely go ahead and click on that if you want to go and watch those videos, but I'll also have it in the outro of this video if you want to go and watch it after you're done watching this one. But a few days after these reports came out, Nate the Hate gave us some follow-up information inside of his podcast about some additional details that weren't mentioned inside of these articles, and I find this information to be really interesting as well, so I'm going to be breaking down pretty much all of the new stuff that he mentioned and all the important stuff inside of this video. And real fast, if you don't know who Nate the Hate is, he is a credible leaker and an insider that we have, where it seems like he does have inside sources that give him information about upcoming Nintendo stuff and even other things as well, because a lot of the stuff that he does say ends up being real. I mean, just a few days ago, he was talking about how there was going to be a Nintendo Direct this week, and of course that ended up happening as well. But just even other things, like even earlier this year, when people were thinking that we weren't going to have like a summer presentation or a summer Direct or anything, he said that June seems like a good time for a Direct, and we still got a Nintendo Direct that happened a few days later in June. So yeah, I do think that we are going to be getting some reliable information from Nate the Hate. Obviously, I don't know if every single thing that he says is going to be 100% accurate, but he is definitely much more reliable and credible than a lot of the other people that we have. So going into the information here, of course all of the articles mention how Nintendo showed an upgraded version of Zelda Breath of the Wild running on potentially Switch 2 power to show how powerful the system is and how capable it is, because this upgraded version of Breath of the Wild was running at a higher resolution and a higher frame rate. Well, it turns out Nate the Hate has given us some follow-up information, including the exact specifications of what this game was running at, and so now we know that according to Nate the Hate and what he's been told, the upgraded version of Zelda Breath of the Wild that Nintendo showed to these developers was running in 4K 60 FPS. Now, seeing how people react to this information is going to be your biggest indicator to see who's been keeping up with the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks and rumors, because anybody who thinks like this game is actually being rendered in native 4K using the Switch 2's power has definitely not been keeping up with the leaks, because I've seen people talking about this on Twitter where they hear like 4K 60 FPS and they're like, oh my god, this is absolutely fake, there's no way that this is real, there's no way the Switch is going to be outputting in 4K, but it's like, no, we're not talking about the game literally being rendered in 2160p like how it is on PS5 and Xbox. What we're talking about is the game being upscaled to that 2160p using Nvidia's DLSS technology, which is much more believable. That Breath of the Wild, for all we know, could be running at the exact same 900p that it runs on with the Switch, but because the Nvidia DLSS technology is so good, the upscale is what's going to turn that 900p into 2160p on your TV, so it's going to look like it's in 4K even though it's not actually being rendered in 4K, so that's definitely much more believable. And according to Nate, this wasn't even the main reason that they showed this upgraded version of Breath of the Wild to their developers. The main reason was actually to showcase a much faster load time for this game running on the Nintendo Switch 2. And according to what he's been told, load time seemed almost virtually erased on this version of Breath of the Wild compared to how it was on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. So he was basically talking about how you could be on the title screen and press continue, and the screen would just kind of fade for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then immediately you would be put right into the game and everything would be rendered extremely fast. So that is honestly very impressive if that is true. If you're going to be able to like fast travel and instantly appear in locations in seconds, that is honestly a very good demonstration of how powerful the system could be. Now, of course, it is still important to remember that Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game, so running on the Nintendo Switch 2, this would be a game that is 2 generations behind, so of course it would be running significantly better and it's going to be much faster and stuff, but it is still a huge open world game, so it is very impressive to still be able to see stuff like this rendered really fast on the Nintendo Switch 2, but I am curious to see how like an actual native Nintendo Switch game, or a game that was made for the Switch like Tears of the Kingdom or Xenoblade 3 or something like that, how fast a game like that would be able to render on this new hardware. Now this also does bring up the question of how exactly the storage is going to work on the system, because if you're going to have load times that are this fast and the system is going to be able to read data really quickly, then you're going to probably have a different type of storage medium, where like if you take a look at the load times that happen on the PS5, the reason that they're so quick on the PS5 is because the PS5 has a really good SSD, and you can even put in your own SSD where you can like put it in yourself, and then that's able to add more storage to it. But basically SSDs are really fast at reading data, and that's why they're able to render these games like Final Fantasy 16 and all of that really quickly, and that's why the load times for that game are so minimal, because of the solid state drive that is so quick in terms of its performance. Now, would Nintendo really use an SSD in terms of their next Nintendo system in order to give faster load times? I don't know, I find that a little bit hard to believe just because of how the Switch is like this tablet-like system, and it seems a little bit kind of unbelievable to think that we would be like taking off the back of our Nintendo Switch 2s and then screwing an SSD into the back of it in order to expand our storage and have faster load times. So I don't know, we have heard rumors that the Nintendo Switch 2 itself is going to come with significantly more storage compared to like what the Switch came with, where it just came with like a measly 32 gigs. We're apparently hearing that the Nintendo Switch 2 might come with like 128 gigs, maybe even 256 or 500 gigabytes. So if it is going to be coming with that much storage, maybe it is already made internally to have that much storage and have it be really fast for these next generation games. But maybe it'll have like an SD card for just additional storage that you need for like your older games or something like that. So that will be pretty interesting to see. Now, the version of DLSS that this Switch 2 demo was using has also been a point of discussion, as when the original Eurogamer article came out, they were saying that it was using DLSS 3.5, but then we also had a follow-up article that came out from somebody else who was saying that they heard that it was using DLSS 3.1, so we didn't know exactly which one it was. But according to Nate the Hate inside of his podcast, he was saying that he heard that it was probably going to be DLSS 3.5, but it wasn't going to be having frame generation, which if you don't know, that's basically like technology where the upscaling technology is so good that it's also able to kind of like artificially make frames too, to the point where you would be able to have like upgraded frame rate even in terms of your game. So you could make like a 30 FPS game appear like a 60 FPS game, but it seems like the Nintendo Switch isn't going to be using that, which I feel like is fair because it probably would get a little complicated, and I've heard that there's like a slight delay to it as well, so it probably wouldn't be that good for games that are like very competitive, so it's honestly for the best. Now, it's important not to get carried away with this next detail, but Nate was also saying that the ray tracing on the Nintendo Switch 2 was actually a little bit better than the ray tracing that appears on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. And the reason for this is because of the technology that Nvidia is using in this with its DLSS. The DLSS technology from Nvidia is actually a little bit better than the AMD technology that they use for ray tracing on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. So because of that, the Switch 2 has potentially ray tracing that might appear a little bit better than the PS5 and Xbox Series X, but of course remember those games are actually being rendered in native 4K and all of that too, so in the end it might not actually look better, like it might just be around the same level. But either way, just hearing this information that the ray tracing on the Switch 2 could be really impressive as well is making me very happy. And finally, one of the most interesting things that we have here was something that Nate actually heard about a timing, and apparently he heard that something related to the Switch 2 is gonna happen in March of 2024. Now, he did mention that he has absolutely zero context in terms of what this actually means, but he did say that according to what he's been told, the Nintendo representatives kept saying March 2024 a lot when they were showing this demo to developers behind closed doors at Gamescom. So whether or not this could be something for us even is still up in the air. Like, this could even be something that's only for developers, where maybe it's like a deadline for when they have to get their games in if they want to have like launch games for the Switch 2, or it could be something where maybe it's going to be a reveal. Maybe this is when everybody is finally going to hear about the Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo is going to do its grand unveiling, and we're going to see like a trailer for it and exactly what the system is going to be like. And then there's also a small chance that maybe this could be when the system comes out. I mean, the Switch did come out in March of 2017, but I do find it a little bit hard to believe that the Switch 2 would come out in March of 2024. It's not impossible, but the Switch was revealed in October of 2016, and then it came out in March of 2017. So it would be like the Switch 2 would need to be revealed like next month, and then it would come out in March of 2024, which I feel like would be really dumb, because why would they reveal a new system like right before like like Mario Wonder is about to come out. That's one of their biggest games for this year, so I don't know, I just don't really see that one happening. But either way, hearing something about March 2024, at least now we have something to potentially look forward to. And so yeah, there you go. Now you're pretty much all caught up with all of the information that we have right now about Nintendo's next generation system and the Switch 2. So if you did enjoy the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well, as I am going to be talking more about the Nintendo Switch 2 as more information comes out. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about this information. Do you think that this information is actually credible and it's going to happen? Are you more excited for it? Definitely be sure to let me know down below. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there. We're always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.